Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Anita Walton. I'm the Assistant Dean for Admissions here at Rutgers Law School on the Newark campus. Joining us today are my colleagues from the Camden campus, Nancy Rupert, who's the Assistant Dean for Admissions at Camden, Amy Timko, who is the Admissions Officer in the Camden campus, and also we have our MSP deans. This program is about the Minority Student Program. And so what we're going to cover today are lots of the different programs, different activities, the benefits of the Minority Student Program, its history. We have a number of students with us as well who will talk about their experience on both Newark and Camden campus with MSP. And it will be a very interesting conversation that we'll have. I think it shows our commitment as a law school to not only diversity, but also diversity in many ways, shapes, and forms, diversity of thought, diversity of backgrounds, diversity of educations, majors, schools. It's a place where I think everyone feels that they can be comfortable, that they can find their niche, that they will find people who will help them to find their path through law school and also through their careers. So having said that, I'm going to first turn it over to Dean Rashida Douglas. Ms. Douglas is the Dean for Admissions at the Camden campus. So Dean Douglas, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, about your journey to law school, and then tell us a little bit about the MSP program in Camden.
Thank you so much, Dean Walton. As she already mentioned, my name is Rashida Douglas, and I have the pleasure and the honor of leading the Minority Student Program at the Camden location. Just to give you all a little bit of background about myself, I am a proud graduate of Rutgers Law School at the Camden location. After graduating, I actually went straight into private practice with commercial litigation at a firm, a mid-sized firm in Philadelphia. Love the work, love the firm, learned a lot from some of the best in Philadelphia, but also felt a calling to do something that lined a little more up in alignment with my passion. So I transitioned to the U.S. Department of Education with their Office for Civil Rights, practicing civil rights in the education realm, again, ensuring that students from underrepresented backgrounds had equal access to education. So we handled discrimination complaints based on race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, as well as disability. And again, I was just fortunate to be in that role to actually assist students who felt that they were discriminated against, and was there for about 8 years, and then felt that I wanted to be in the higher education sector to help students prior to having to file a complaint. Like, how do we create a climate that students understand how to treat each other respectfully, how to treat each other with civility, and how to ensure that students have access to educational programs. And so I transitioned from the U.S. Department of Education to Rowan University, handling their Title IX complaints, ensuring that students are protected from sexual assault and other forms of sexual discrimination. And while at Rowan, I was told that the Minority Student Program was coming to Camden. As you all will hear a little later, this program started at our location in Newark. And when the law schools merged, I was over the moon just to hear that MSP was coming to Camden, because I knew that it would be a transformative program. And so when the program started in 2016, I was brought on board to lead MSP. And so that's just a quick snapshot of my background. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dean Dawkins, who leads the MSP program in Newark.
Thank you so much, Dean Douglas. Thank you also, Dean Walton, for the opportunity. Hi, everybody. I'm Clint Hawkins. I'm the Dean of the Minority Student Program, or rather at the Newark campus. I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to also recognize Dr. Lenore Pearson, who serves as our Assistant Director on the Newark campus. Doc, if you want to take a moment before I begin to opine, just to say a few words yourself.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, and hope you learn more about MSP and what we do and what we offer here. And we look forward to this exchange. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Pearson. And she plays a major role in the work that we do on the Newark campus. So if we're so fortunate to have you all join us, you'll get to know Dr. Pearson a bit better as well. By way of quick background, I too am a graduate of Rutgers Law School, the Newark campus, and a graduate of the MSP program myself here on the Newark campus. After graduating, I did a clerkship in the appellate division. After the appellate division, I went into the private practice. I did a good amount of commercial litigation, some arbitrations and so forth, but then began to hone expertise in the realm of labor and employment. Practiced at a few large firms, eventually made my way out into my own practice. And then when the opportunity came to serve in a greater capacity, I was thrilled in the same way Dean Douglas described to have the opportunity to pursue serving in this capacity to help the next generation of lawyers coming out of Rutgers Law and People's Electric lawyers, as we call them up north. And so I applied, and this is actually my first year on the job, right? The program itself, though, in Newark is 54 years old, right? So we're over half a century old. We're getting up there. We're doing lots of exciting things that I hope we'll be able to talk about in today's conversation. With that, let me suspend it and hand things back over to Dean Walton.
Great, thank you, both Dean Douglas and Dean Dawkins. So we have a lot of students who are on this webinar as well. So I'm going to toss it back to Dean Douglas to have a conversation with your students about MSP, about law school in Camden, and anything else that happens to be on your mind. Go ahead, Dean Douglas.
Thank you. What I'll do really quickly, just to give a quick overview of what MSP provides and why it's such a transformative program. MSP is basically another layer of support. It's a community. And in my opinion, I feel like that is the greatest asset of MSP, is that we provide community for students that are coming from underrepresented backgrounds. The history of the program, initially it was started to benefit African-American students, but now it's open to students of all races and ethnicities, as you all probably know from reading some of the website information. But we're there to help law students not only while they're in law school with academic support, with mentors. You'll receive an attorney mentor as well as an upper level law student mentor. There's also the summer internship program at the Newark location. And in Philadelphia, we use two longstanding historic programs, the Philadelphia Diversity Law Group and the Association of Corporate Counsel, to help students with securing those summer internships that are rather hard to come by as a first year. Like, that is not the norm. But this is something that MSP has been really instrumental in doing, and then helping those students transition to the legal profession. And so that's where your mentors come into play. That's where bar associations, that you all probably don't know a lot about, but those are professional associations that both Dean Dawkins and I and other administrators in the law school at large has a rather strong relationship with. So that scholarships, that's again, other mentoring programs that you all are able to tap, because we want to help you all build that social capital that most underrepresented students don't have. Like, if you're the first in your family to go to law school, first in your family to go to college, probably as well, you don't have that social capital that students from affluent backgrounds will have. And so we want to make sure that our students are positioned for success in understanding how to navigate this profession that is still unfortunately lacking in diversity. Definitely the numbers are out there to support that as well. So what I'll do at this time is to turn it over to we have some wonderful law students here that are taking time out of their day to join us today to give some insight about their experiences as members of MSP. So we have Tina Tabuada, who will be graduating in May. Lots of tears over here, but she has been a tremendous leader within Alianza, the Hispanic Bar Association of New Jersey. We also have Jordan Dunbar, who is a 2L, who has been an amazing leader as well with our Black Law Students Association and in other organizations. And so would you like me to introduce Sophie and Shelby at this time as well, just to give an introduction of everyone who's in the space? I know Sophie Kim is from our Newark location. Sophie has been really instrumental with the Women's Law Caucus, the Women's Law Forum, right, Sophie, if I'm not mistaken, or?
I'm on the Women's Rights Law Reporter. So it's two separate things, but people intertwine them all the time.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sophie. And then we also have Shannon Cohills, a past president of ABLS, and then Shelby Mitchell. Shelby, if you want to just give a quick summary of some of the roles that you played on campus at Newark.
Hi, everybody. I dabble in a little bit of everything. I was Vice President of Community Affairs with ABLS, Social Equity Chair for SBA, and Editor-in-Chief of the Rutgers Race Law Review. So I'm around everywhere on campus.
Yes, and that is indicative of the MSP students. I know Dean Dawkins will say the same, like MSP students are leaders. They are leading so many of the organizations on campus. They have a tremendous presence. We also just had Vania Imo from our Camden location who just jumped on as well. Vania is a 1L student. So I think we have a nice range of students that are here with us this afternoon. So you'll hear different experiences. Vania serves on our diversity, inclusion, and belonging working group. She's also been a leader already with our Muslim Law Students Association. So we're going to hear from some of the resident experts that can really tell you about MSP. And so the first question I'll put out there for our students to address is, can you all tell us what role MSP has played in helping you while you're in law school? And I'll pose that first to Tina. Tina's on her way out. And so she's had the most experience in terms of this being in law school and navigating that and getting ready to graduate.
Thank you, Dean Douglas. So as Dean Douglas said, my name is Tina Tabwada. I'm a 4L evening student. To your question, Dean Douglas, regarding what MSP has done for me, and MSP has been such a tremendous force and support for me personally, and I know for so many MSP students. It provides not just a sort of a family of support going through law school, which can often be so stressful and full of times of even I know I myself of times of doubt, and everyone's there to really support each other. I think the additional benefit of the MSP program is so many wonderful events and networking opportunities to meet attorneys and other people in the field that are like you. And I know that can often be such an inspiration, not just for yourself, but I know for the other MSP students, to be able to see yourself reflected in the profession and allow yourself to meet other people like yourself.
Thank you, Tina. And then Jordan, would you like to just also give an opinion on that question?
Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I had to relocate because my internet was not doing what I needed to do. So I'm on the move, but yes, here I am. My first comment I would say is that without MSP, I don't even think I would have been able to afford my tuition. They got me the job I had my first year that paid so much better than I've ever been paid in my life. And they're at this point providing me with the opportunity to choose another job that's going to help me in the same way. And I would say that, like Dean Douglas said, it is really difficult, especially your first year, finding opportunities and getting those opportunities, and MSP literally hands them to you. All you have to do is put in the work and apply, and it goes past job opportunities. It's scholarships too. I've received scholarships because of Dean Douglas's hard work and telling us about them. So I think MSP does everything we need them to do to support us, because we don't have other people giving us this vital information to help us succeed at law school.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And then V is the new person on the block. Like, what has it been for you as a 1L?
I think MSP has given me not only one of the closest groups of friends I've ever had. I remember the first, I think, MSP orientation, I met my entire group of friends, and I'm still friends with them now. And I've met so many people who care about a lot of the same causes that I do, who look like me and care about the same issues. It's also given me a lot of opportunity in that. Dean Douglas, you're always emailing us about scholarships and opportunities. It's like every week. So MSP has given me, not to be dramatic, but I think MSP has given me pretty much a family.
Thank you, V. And V is also a social justice scholar, which is another program that Rutgers Law has, is identifying leaders who've already been doing social justice work prior to even to coming to law school. And so that's another great program that you all will probably hear about. I want to turn it over to Dean Dawkins, so that way Dean Dawkins can also pose some questions to our wonderful students from the North location.
Thank you, Dean Douglas, and thank you to the entire family that's spoken up to this point. So good to see you all. It's so good to see our students on the North Campus too, popping in. We do say, and it's not dramatic at all, we do say that MSP is a family, right? And we also say in the MSP family that we attract the leaders, right? So I'm excited to introduce you to some phenomenal leaders on the North Campus. And I'm gonna start with our graduating students as well. So that's you, Shannon, and that's you, Shelby, two vets in terms of student leadership on the North Campus, who you've heard are engaged in so many facets of campus life, student life, and actually, grassroots organizing work in the local community, doing community work as well. So let's talk a little bit about it. I'm going to pose a similar question to Dean Douglas. MSP on Newark's campus, has a lot of requirements, but how do you think those requirements and programmatic offerings have benefited you along your trajectory through the legal learning process? And let's start with Shannon and then take it to Shelby.
Well, hello, everyone. Nice to see you all here. My name is Shannon, 3L, graduating in less than 2 months. Let's say that first. So excited, but I'm going to miss Rutgers Law, of course. But in terms of the requirements for MSP, I think they're requirements, but they're really just preparation for life. So I think back in preparation to be a successful attorney and law student first and foremost. So one of the first things is you have to do your summer orientation. And during that orientation, you do like a mock class. And for me, at the Newark campus, the mock class is taught by the one and only Ronald Chen. And he is a library of knowledge at Rutgers Law School, but having him as my professor, and then to find out that he was actually my contracts professor, going to his course prepared me to take his class later on. So, you have the summer orientation, you have these different workshops that you're required to go to. For instance, we did like an interview prep workshop. We did how to dress for an interview, how to write a follow-up letter, resume critique, and all of those things. They're requirements, but like as you go through your legal career, you see, oh, okay, this is why I learned this. Oh, okay, this is why I had to go to this session. And, I think it has been so helpful throughout my time. And yeah, looking back, a little sad, but it was all very helpful. And I'm looking forward to give back to those later on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. And two, you mentioned summer orientation. That's a big part of it. There's the legal skills study groups that are also a big part of it. You mentioned the professional development workshops that we do and host as well. So outstanding, Shannon. And I love that you're seeing the benefit of them years later, even as you're getting ready to graduate. Shelby, please.
Shannon said a lot of what I was going to say, to be honest. But to be honest, I think MSP, I'll start with, it's one of those programs that it's as helpful and as beneficial and as special as you want it to be and as you allow it to be. So if you actually lean into what MSP has to offer and you take advantage and whatnot, like as Shannon said, like it prepares you for anything, or at least gives you the tools to figure out and prepare for anything. So for example, like even just going back to, again, summer orientation, like I remember Dean VW, who was the dean at the time, she made us all turn in like schedules and she wanted everything down to like the minute. Like she was like, you're gonna spend 17 minutes eating? No, you need to spend 16. Like it was very, I don't know, it was weird at the time. And everybody was like, why is she bothering us with this? Like, we don't understand. We have all this work to do for summer orientation. And then she wants us to like plan our lives. She's telling us we can't watch TV. She's telling us we can't see our families. Like, it just felt weird. And it was ridiculous, honestly. But then she was actually prepping us to know that you have to be disciplined for law school, just little stuff like that. She was teaching us that you might have to make some sacrifices. She was teaching us, again, organization is key. So it's little stuff like that and like in the moment, I had no appreciation for it. And I was so mad at Dean BW. But then come like the first week of school, because I already had my schedule, she already had us reading XYZ days ahead, that I was like, ooh, while the rest of my classmates that weren't in MSP were kind of like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. Like me, Shannon, and others were kind of like in the atrium, like laughing, playing, kicking it. So, it takes that weight off, and it kind of gave us the tools so that we could come in kind of on equal footing as some of our classmates, and even a leg up on like others, to be honest. But I think MSP just provides you with a lot of those tools, even with, for example, like the networking opportunities and the mentorship opportunities, not just in terms of like alumni, but even just through like the MSP study groups and whatnot. Like my person that did did my study group was a 3L, and I still talk to him. He still guides me. He's gotten me all types of internships. When he went to clerk, he was like, come on, I'm bringing you on as my intern. You're going to work for me. Like, it's just opened up so many doors, and MSP just provides you with all kinds of resources. I guess Shannon and Dean Dawkins already mentioned, but those are just kind of examples of ones that really stuck out to me, and just examples of how kind of down the road, it just gives you you pick up little tools that you don't even know you're picking up that are useful in law school and beyond.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shelby. All right, without further delay, let's jump in to our younger members of the family. We're going to start with our 2L on the line, and that's Sophie Kim. You heard a little bit earlier, she's in the specialized program 3+3, and she has hit the ground running at the law school, is involved in quite a few organizations and activities. Sophie, what's it like being a 2L? You're, halfway through the process.
Well, first, thank you for that introduction. 2L year is kind of strange because I feel like I'm in like this limbo where my first year was completely virtual. So 1L year, all on Zoom. It was just kind of, when will this end? But I kind of want to like meet new people in person, but it wasn't safe at that time. So like, I feel like 1L just kind of like flew by. And now it's 2L, and it's kind of like I can do more, but I'm in the school and I'm just as lost as the 1Ls like during the fall semester. But it's an interesting process, and just knowing that MSP has my back throughout this entire process. And the MSP program, it gave me a sense of stability in the most unstable environment, aka law school. And like, just having the opportunity presented to you through MSP and getting to meet upperclassmen and having mentors, that really makes all the difference. And I think Shelby and Shannon both mentioned the bi-weekly study groups. Those, when you're in it, it's almost a little dreadful because you have to meet twice a week, and it's like additional assignments on top of like the hours upon hours reading assignments that your professors assign you. But towards finals, when you're studying, you're going to be grateful that you spent those hours and like all that hard work and those additional assignments. Like, they pay off, and like you have the guidance from an upperclassman who likely had your professor, or like, of course, taken that class before, and having their guidance, their insight, and just honestly a friend. Because like law school is a lot, especially on your emotional being, and having someone who can relate to those struggles, it really like, it calms you. And that's what I meant by MSP providing you with that stability, because I feel like if I didn't have MSP, I would have been running around the school just like hectic, lost. But those bi-weekly sessions really makes the difference, because you get extra practice on your finals before final seasons officially starts. And I also want to touch upon the summer internship program. That program came in clutch. Like, let me tell you, like, you get access to so many different firms, like the big firms, medium, small, whatever you want, nonprofits, if you're interested in public interest work, as well as government agencies. So whatever you feel like you want to explore, MSP is there for you. They have the resources, they can easily connect to you. And all those requirements of MSP, they're ultimately networking opportunities to your advantage. You get to meet so many legal professionals, general counsels of like corporations. It's honestly, I don't see them as requirements. It's honestly an advantage, if anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sophie. I don't want to delay any further as well. I want us to jump into our 1Ls, and we have 3 on the line who are phenomenal leaders already. They're all ambassadors in the MSP program. They hold other leadership titles and organizations on campus already, and they're performing well, generally speaking, in classes and with regard to their external activities. We're super proud of you. We're happy that you are in the family, and we want from you the real. All right, you guys are 1Ls, and this is the position many on the line are going to be in this time next year, if we are so fortunate, right? So you're closest to the earliest stage and toughest stage in the law school process. What's it been like being a part of MSP as you are coming into your legal learning experience. I want to introduce all three of you, Tiani, Mason, Gabriella, in no particular order. Please chime in and welcome, and thank you for your time today.
Okay, well, I can start. Thanks for the introduction, Dean Dawkins. So yeah, 1L is tough. There are a lot of learning curves that maybe you don't anticipate coming in, right? It's not like undergrad, which I'm sure you've heard many times or will hear many times when you go through the orientation process. And yeah, when you're in the thick of 1L, sometimes it's hard to imagine what your future is going to look like in the profession. Sometimes it's hard to imagine what your future is going to look like the next week, much less the law profession in general. But MSP, which I'm just going to piggyback off of a lot of what people have already said, gives you a structure, it gives you a stability, and that structure and that stability and that community gives you confidence to succeed. And the way it's set up, which people have talked about, the multiple components, you have groups that you work with, you have checkpoints that you meet throughout the first semester in order to qualify for things like the summer internship program. And as you do those things, and as you meet those checkpoints, the rewards like the summer internship program, which are usually funded in some capacity, that really helps you like feel like you're part of a new community or a new legal profession, or you start to feel integrated into something larger than yourself, and that's going to pay dividends in the future. And that was really important for me, and I'm sure that's of course really important for other people. So that's part of what the MSP program has meant so far in my 1L experience.
Awesome, thank you, Mason. Tiani, Gabriella, I don't want to be Socratic here.
Oh, I think. So,
Then we have a
Sorry.
little. There you go. Yeah.
sorry, we mixed in the same room, so the volume's weird. But it's so funny. So anytime someone asks me how law school is going, I always say I'm just trying to survive. So it's definitely an experience, but I have to say, being an MSP has definitely made it a lot easier of an experience, considering the connections you make. I've made most of my friends are in MSP. My study group isn't all in MSP. So I feel like having those connections has made the experience a lot more easier. For me, I call myself a first gen everything, because I'm the first to go to college, to go to law school, to be a professional. So coming to MSP, being able to make the connections, to get a mentor. My mentor is amazing that I got through MSP. She's always checking up on me. She's helped me connect with people in the field that I'm thinking about going into. So all of these things that you get from MSP, being in SIP has allowed me to get an amazing position this summer. Thank you. Shout out to Dean Dawkins and Dr. Pearson. Has really helped me. Also it helps you gain, like what Mason said, gain confidence that what you're doing is right. So MSP really instills that in you. So yeah, I think Mason said a lot as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiani. All right, Gabriella, please.
Yeah, I feel that, first of all, thank you so much for everyone who's here today, and congratulations for being accepted and admitted to Rutgers. This is really an amazing opportunity for you, and just take the time to really appreciate all the effort you've done. But now as a 1L, I'm telling you that now it's when the real job work starts. And I feel that going into law school, I thought it was hard, but I've never thought it was going to be one of the biggest challenges for me and in my life. And having the MSP study groups weekly really did help to have a strategy in terms of how to approach your exams, how to approach hypos, how to outline, how to brief your cases, and all of those points that you have to do over the course of your semester are really important to get the A at the end. And I think that having those weekly meetings was really important for me because it helped me to be really great with my time management, with having accountability of my work, because we had to bring hypos to the MSP meetings. And someone asked about how do you juggle the MSP required assignments in regular classes? And Sophie did touch upon that, but I think it's also important to say that what you're doing on the MSP study groups are important, because these strategies and these hypos will translate to your exams. All the things that you're doing in your study groups translate our strategies and our practices that you translate to your grade at the end, to the exam. And I think it's also interesting something about law school, because the only time you know how you're doing well is at the end, because you only have one final exam. So having the hypos along the semester, and the hypos are hypothetical situations, fact patterns that the professors will give to you, and you have to spot issues. And don't worry about that. Don't worry about the bar. Someone talked about the bar. Don't worry about that. These are little things that you will learn in the study groups and the MSP study groups, how to spot the issues and how to make strategies for your exam. And also, my best friends are from my MSP study group, and and we don't have the study group anymore, but I continue this semester with one of them, who is Lee, my great friend, and we did really well last semester. And I really do believe it was because of the MSP study groups and because of the partnership and accountability we had over the semester. So I think that's it. The 1L is really, really tough, but do not get stressed, because everything is about time management and really accountability and making sure you're practicing. And we are all here to help you, as we're going to be a 2L next year, and everyone that's here is really, really willing to help you in your path and as a 1L. So don't get stressed. MSP is here to really guide you through your journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gabriella. So you've heard guidance, support, a familial atmosphere, supplemental resources, access to folks who are in the profession, mentorship, etc. MSP attracts the leaders, and we're excited to have you all on the line. Thank you all, the leaders. I'm going to turn things back over to Dean Walton.
Okay, thank you. There were a couple of questions in the chat, and I think that we can get to them and try to answer some of them. One was about the curve, and how does MSP help students to, quote, beat the curve. As you all know, or maybe you don't know, in law school, there is a required curve for all the first year courses. And it's around a 3.0, a little bit below, a little bit above. So there's a little bit of fudge room there. But when the faculty put in their grades, or when they correct exams, by the way, are done anonymous. They do not know whose exam they're correcting. There's only an exam number on that exam. So in the end, after they break the code, then they know who got the grades that the faculty gave out. They are not required to give a certain percentage of A's or B's or C's. Rather, it all has to fit within the curve, which is, again, just around a B minus curve. Everything that you do as a first year student, whether it's working in a study group with MSP, whether it's working in a study group of your own that you can form with other people in the classroom, when you finally do get for classes to start, you are spread out among everyone that's at the law school. So you're not only going to class with your MSP cohorts, you're going to class with lots of new people that you're going to meet as they come in for orientation. So I've had work study students who have had 3 study groups, their MSP study group and 2 others in other courses as well. And working together is really important in law school. It's important in the profession down the road. You're never going to sit in your little office by yourself and decide a case. There's always conversation that's going on. There's always collaboration that's going on. And I may hear something very differently than the way Shelby did, or Dean Dawkins or Tina heard in a classroom. And we should share those thoughts and see if we can find that kernel of truth in there. So it's important to create those relationships, not just with MSP students, but also with all the other students that are in the classroom. So MSP is not a tool for, quote, beating the curve. It's a tool for learning how to learn and learning how to approach your studies and learning how to become a lawyer and think analytically and think logically. So it's really important in that way. Besides MSP, I don't want to forget to add that there are a lot of other programs that are run by Eileen Pizzurro here in the Newark campus and Allison Kinson in the Camden campus on all kinds of academic support programs, on outlining, on case briefing, on how to take an exam, all kinds of things that are open to everyone. And so go take advantage of all of that. Every single piece of help that you can get academically from people in MSP and outside of MSP is a big plus for you, because it does help you to keep you on track, keep the momentum going, keep the time management skills that you're going to learn, and hopefully be successful in the end. The most difficult thing, I think, is that first year students tend to jump in head first, and they're working hard. Then by the time the middle of the semester comes, and I'm sure Dean Dawkins and Dean Douglas see this, they're starting to wear down and get tired, and not pacing yourself can be really hurtful as you're getting into October, November, and you can't find that extra ounce of energy. So learning how to do that in the beginning, I think, is very important. And there will be sessions on that, on time management and how to study effectively. Just because you've studied for 5 hours doesn't mean that you've studied effectively. So take advantage of all of that. Also, every class, first year class, has a TA assigned to that class. Take advantage of the TA hours. It's an upper class student who had that professor. Take advantage of their office hours. Take advantage of the review groups that they will run. Every single piece of academic help is important. Also, go to some of the seminars and things that happen at the law schools. There's a ton of different programs that you will see. Don't get involved in organizing. Shannon, I think, can tell you how hard it is to organize events. Don't get involved in organizing when you're a 1L. Save that for later on when you're in the second or third year and you have a little more control over your schedule. But that's how you can also educate yourself about what's going on in the legal world. All kinds of different topics will come up that are really interesting. And if you have time in your schedule, you're welcome to attend. Many of them now are on Zoom, and you can just register and click in, and it's really, really helpful. There was a question for Dean Douglas. Let me find it. Sorry, 1 second. There was a question about when you were in law school, was there any specific classes or clinics that you did in order to become a civil rights lawyer down the road?
Great question. No, I'll tell you this. Now we have a lot more clinics than we did over 20 years ago when I was in law school in 1999. I'm not ashamed to say that, but there weren't as many clinics then. But what I did do was I always did pro bono work. While I was on law school, as a law student, was involved with public interest. I saw another question about public interest. That is a part of our culture at Rutgers Law, whether it's through pro bono, through clinic, through different community organizations. We're there and we are a resource and we are members of the community that we anchor. So those were some opportunities that helped me demonstrate that I had a commitment to public interest. So even when I started practicing in a private firm, I was still handling pro bono cases on the side. And so that was my pitch to the Office of Civil Rights. Look, I've always been committed to the public interest, to helping others. And then just talked about how my education was life-changing for me. I was born and raised in an inner city, Newark, New Jersey, always in my heart. And so I needed to always feel like I was giving back. And that's something else that our students can talk to you about. Our students are committed. They've been doing projects in Camden. They do projects in Newark. That is who we are as an institution. I would love to hear from the students about really, what are some of the public interest projects that you all have been involved with? And I'll put that to Vania, and I know several of you have led public interest projects, but Vania is a social justice scholar, which I think is another great program for you all to know about because it also provides some financial support to students. So V, if you would talk a little bit about some of the projects that you've been involved with.
This is kind of hard. I've done so many public interest projects. I think was put onto a immigration clinic that I did, even as a 1L. I did an immigration clinic. Normally that's something that you do as a 2L or a 3L. I am on this committee with Dean Douglas and a few other student leaders, and we put together a cultural week for the rest of the students at Rutgers to know about the different cultures on campus and the organizations that we have. I'm in the National Lawyers Guild, which I also learned from another MSP student. And we have been putting on a movement lawyering panel to educate the community about different issues as well. So I think MSP for sure provides a lot of different opportunities for public interest. Almost everyone at MSP that I know is interested in public interest as well. And I can only speak to the Camden campus, but it's just so ingrained in the culture. It's actually a really beautiful thing to see that everyone cares about the greater issues of the community.
Thank you, V. And that's a part of the history of MSP. Like MSP was started in Newark after the rebellion that happened in the city of Newark. And that rebellion was sparked because of police brutality and the oppression that was continuing to happen in terms of the Newark residents not being represented in city council. And so it's just interesting that even these many years later, we're still seeing that some of the same issues exist. So that is a part of Rutgers Law School's culture. Like you all have heard, Newark is called the Electric Law School. Camden is not called the Electric Law School, but we spark it up down in Camden too. So the other question that I wanted to put out to the students, and Dean Walton, please forgive me, but I wanted to kind of have the students hear about that transition to the profession, right? Several of you have won scholarships. I know Jordan, Shannon, the Garden State Bar Association, Tina with the Hispanic Bar Association. Sophie has won scholarships from Apollo, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. And so if you all can just talk about, like, how are you all building that bridge? Like, how has Rutgers Law helped you all to build that bridge? We have close to 3,000 MSP alumni. The larger alumni network is 20,000 strong. We now have MSP alums who are judges, partners, leaders of public interest agencies. So I would love to hear from the students about what are some of the activities that you all have been involved with in bar associations and how you all think that's going to help you all transition, because we want to make sure everyone is employed when they leave the law school.
Can I start?
Yes, please do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I am a firm believer in getting involved in things because it's good to learn from folks that have come before you. So bar associations are fantastic, but bar associations actually cost money to attorneys. But as a law student, you can join bar associations for free. And I highly encourage students to do so. So in New Jersey, the legal network is beautiful. It's large, but it's also intimate at the same time. So you have like the Garden State Bar Association, which is the Black Bar Association for the state of New Jersey, which I was a student member of. You have the Association of Black Women Lawyers, ABWL, which I got one of my mentors from there and a mentor from Garden State Bar Association. So those are two ways that bar associations have really had an impact on me. And then both Dean Douglas is a part of ABWL, so it's beautiful to see her here in the Rutgers network, but then also when there's an ABWL event, like whether we're having like a book club or something, to have those connections there. And then I got to shout out Dean Dawkins, who formerly known as Cliff to me, but is a friend of mine. And I think when you asked about like bar associations and alumni, and I see there's a question in the chat also about what made you choose Rutgers. And I have to shout him out because when I was deciding between schools, he was like, you got to go to Rutgers. Rutgers is where it's at, and you got to join MSP. And so I was like, what? Like, and he really, influenced my decision to come to the school and to join this program where you have this network. And like in Jersey, if you meet an alum, specifically alums of color, like, and you're from Rutgers and you say, like, they're like, are you an MSP? And you say that, it's like an immediate connection. You have a mentor there, like they're like, okay, what are you doing this summer? How can I help you? Do you have it? And so like the network is there. the bar associations are a great way to network and to just find mentors formally and informally. And so those are, I think, ways that I've gotten involved in bar associations and attending their events. They provide great scholarships for all years. And that's a misconception that you only get scholarships when you're applying to law school. And that's not true. I didn't get a big scholarship when I first applied, but throughout my time, I got a lot more. So, there are ways to pay for your education through these bar associations, through this MSP, through the law school, all that good stuff. So.
Then Tina, could you talk, because Tina has also won scholarships from the New Jersey Women Lawyers Association. So talk a little bit about too, how you've been involved with the bar, and just to brag a little bit, we just had a team from Camden make it through the Hispanic National Bar Association's moot court competition. So Tina was a part of that team that made it to the quarterfinals, right? And so talk to us a little bit about how those opportunities have really helped to just shape you and benefit you as well.
Sure. So I would say, coming from a family where, at least on my mother's side, there's nobody. I mean, my mother only had a high school education, and my family was immigrants. I really didn't have a lot of frame of reference for the legal profession and how to necessarily network, or things I should be doing, or just like what you think is common knowledge coming into law school. So I credit MSP for even bringing to to the forefront that there's bar associations for number one. Like, I guess it makes sense now, but it's just like one of the things, like, oh, I guess of course that makes sense that this is a thing, and that you should be engaging with those things. So I know Dean Douglas is so present and caring, and really make sure that these things are brought to the front of your mind. And she consistently sends emails and reminds people. And one of those things that was brought to my attention, obviously, was the Hispanic Bar Association, not just of New Jersey, but also of Pennsylvania. So I joined them, which is what you can do when you're still a law student. You can join them for free. And pre-pandemic, they were still having events, and I would, when I was working, that often made things a little difficult. But I would always, if there was a weekend event, I was there and I would go. So I'm not sure how many of you are going to be part-time students like myself, who work full-time and go to school at night, which is a challenge. But if you can, if you see that there is a weekend event that you can make, or on a holiday, do it, because there just hasn't been enough. There's just not enough. Things are a lot different now with the pandemic, and things are so much virtual, and they're virtual. And the things moving to virtual events made a tremendous difference for me, because that is actually how I got my judicial externship. And it's not something that I would have had the opportunity or even had the chance to meet this particular judge if not for going to this virtual networking event with the Hispanic Bar Association. And as a result of that, because of that judicial externship, I'm actually going to be clerking in New Jersey beginning in August. So it's the line between the support, bringing you knowledge, and then the results that come from that. And yes, Dean Douglas knows that I did win, as part of these benefits that accrue from getting involved with these affinity groups is, like myself, I won actually 2 scholarships, one from the New Jersey Women Lawyers Association for an essay I had to write, but also a second more recently with the Hispanic Bar Association. And so these are all, I know somebody said it before, you put in the effort, you do the work, you write the essay. It's hard to balance, but if you can, just do it, because, the worst thing you can do is not do anything, is not try to self-select yourself out. And I know that is such a hard thing sometimes, especially for women of color, to often, there is a fear, there is trepidation, like, oh, well, I won't get it, why should I try? And that's a life struggle. I know I've gone with, but so much of those things is knowing that, well, at least you tried, even if it doesn't work out, and then you don't, then you can't have regret. So absolutely join your affinity bar groups. You will meet so many amazing people, somebody willing to mentor you. teach you about things that you may not have even considered. And so I heartily recommend that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm just
Tina.
going to, there was a question in the Q&A that I'm going to direct to Dean Dawkins. It was about the summer internships. And the person was asking questions about how many of those end up in law firms or corporate areas, and how do people go about securing those internships? And those would be the internships at the end of the first year, that summer.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, I'm happy to kind of respond to that. Well, I'm going to give you the lawyer's response, and you guys are going to get sick of this in short order. It depends. But generally speaking, we've got large chunks of the cohorts going into every realm. So that's government, that's nonprofits, NGOs, right? That's social justice and advocacy organizations. And that is to the private sector with regard to law firms and in-house opportunities, right? So this year alone, we had on the North campus, over 90 students in the MSP class. Of that 90, approximately 70 were eligible to move forward with the SIP process, right? Applied and were eligible to move forward with the SIP process. Of the 70, all of them have been placed with SIP employer partners, and all of those 70 placements are paid summer placements. And for those of you who have tried to intern over the summers, you know how hard it is to find a paid summer opportunity. You can intern, right? But oftentimes you're interning for the experience, right? We try to make sure that we couple the experience with a little bit to get you through those summer months so you can take fully advantage of those internship opportunities. Organizations, as was mentioned by Sophie a little bit earlier, and I believe a few others, include some of the biggest law firms on this side of the Hudson and in New York City. They include opportunities with government organizations like the Division on Civil Rights, right? The Attorney General's office, like the Public Defender's, right, office, like, other kind of prosecutorial bodies. Nonprofit organizations like the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, the ACLU, the New York Legal Assistance Group, right? Just phenomenal organizations and entities, in-house corporations like Prudential, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. Who else did we get? The Celdex, Reliance Worldwide, West Pharmaceuticals. I won't say you name it because we're still looking to add more to our catalog of employer partners. But in terms of realms that you can enter, there is no bar, through our SIP program. And likewise, we have an upperclassmen program that's like SIP that allows for folks to get opportunities in these different realms, as well as 2Ls and 3Ls during the summer months and during the fall and spring semesters. So it's really a question of us trying to do our best to align what you believe is your purpose, right, with what will be your ultimate professional practice. We spend a lot of time trying to hone that idea, right, explore what you believe to be your purpose, rule out some of the things that you may think you like, and expose you to some things that you may not have even thought about yet. And then ultimately have you decide the direction you want to go, and us, kind of be the wind in your sails to get you there.
Great, thank you, Dean Dawkins. I'm being mindful of the time. It's now 12:55, so we just have a couple of minutes to wrap up. There were some additional questions about public interest, pro bono work, externships, experiential learning. That's tomorrow's topic. So make sure you sign up for tomorrow's event, which is also at 12 o'clock. If you have not signed up, go onto our website to the admitted students page, and there is a spot where you can click on register here and register for that seminar, for that webinar as well. All of these will be posted up on our website, so you'll be able to go back and watch them. And I hope you learned a lot today. So any final words, Dean Douglas, go ahead.
Well, thank you all for just joining us today. I think, information is key, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to make this is a huge choice. So thank you all for taking time to, have an opportunity to hear about our community. We would be delighted to welcome you to our community, to support you. And if you have any questions after today, please don't hesitate to reach out via email. We can put you in contact with the students. I'm always glad to answer questions, but I wish you all the best on your journey, even if you don't come to Rutgers, because we do need more attorneys of color, attorneys from the LGBTQ community, attorneys who are disabled. So I just wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Dean Douglas. Dean Dawkins, you get the last word.
Oh, I mean, this is gonna be hard to follow, but let me just double down on what Dean Douglas said. First and foremost, we need you, right, in the profession, generally speaking. And we would be so fortunate, so lucky to have you join us. But let me say too, if you're looking for a law school that is going to encourage you, right, to kind of push the margins, right, to see and keep in your heart, right, that passion that tells you you can change the world, right, you can make impact, positive impact on society and on this profession. Come to Rutgers Law, right? It's scarlet red for a reason, right? So please, you know, I know you're making a big life decision here. And I know that you're probably looking at other law schools that will afford you, you know, access to the profession and so forth. But there's something unique about this MSP family, and there's something unique about this Rutgers Law family, right? That is affirming, right, of everyone from every background, right? And beyond it being affirming, there's a love that flows through this community that bolsters your dreams, right? And we share our dreams with each other so that we can go get it together, right? So if that's the kind of environment you're looking for, that's what you'll find here at Rutgers Law and in the MSP program.
Great. Thank you all. Thank you very much to the students for taking the time out to spend an hour with us. If any of the participants have questions, you can forward them to me or to Dean Rupert in Camden or to Dean Douglas or to Dean Dawkins. And we're happy to send all that on. Many of the students have put their emails in the chat, and we're really thrilled that you were here with us today. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.